It is Ace Attorney time. When we last left off, we had just met a couple of new characters, one of whom is suspiciously eager to point a loaded gun at his own head at the drop of a hat. Actually, we don't know. Technically, no proof that it's loaded. I only just realized, but it might be loaded. Very fond of saying, "Oh, so you're going to steal from my shop, are you? Well, how about I fucking shoot myself in the head then? How would you like that?" That is his plan for everything, for all social encounters of any kind and any intensity. And then this is... Oh no, my voice. What's happening? Gina Lestrade, who has apparently, maybe, come in and claimed someone's coat with a stolen ticket. And in the coat is a metal music box disc. And she was then trying to turn around and pawn that immediately. Miss Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying? Hi-yo! Yeah, pretty much everything that I play on here is blind. I have not I have not played this game or any other games that I play on the channel before. Which is always fun, isn't it? What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. Oh, that's right, I forgot to look up. I was going to try to figure out where I had... What did he call her? He called her a tatterdemalion. Tatterdemalion. And I was like, I for sure have seen that word, or heard that word in some other media, and I can't remember what. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now. No, I swear it. I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. Man, he knows all the good words. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I'm a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time I've been targeted by these backslum scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat, or I shall call Speedwagon. Grr. Come along now, Miss Lestrade, give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on, why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove, and you think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? You what, mate? Any MMOs? I mean, I guess anytime you play an MMO, you're playing it for the first time, right? Although, I mean, I guess what you mean is, hey, go into a fight or a dungeon without having played it. Which, yeah, there's actually a couple of Final Fantasy XIV videos on my YouTube channel where, like, content comes out and I play it day one and we just go through. Not really, like, hard stuff, though. Like, I know there are a lot of people that have fun going, like, hey, here's day one, like, savage raiding, like, the really difficult stuff where you have to, you know, spend hours trying to puzzle it out, or days even. Not so much into that, though. evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman. Oh no, wait, that was Phoenix Wright talking. Of course. We need only consult Mr. Windibank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant.
I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Oh.
I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine.
But why not?
Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity.
Fortunately, I keep cameras that like constantly take pictures of people who come into the store. That's not an invasion of their privacy, but writing it on their name would be. Yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it?
Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question?
Wait, so why didn't you ask her for the watchword?
Of course, it's Ozymandias, or no.
What was it from Watchmen? Ramses? Osiris? Osiris 2?
Professor. Yes, that's right. And all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt.
A watchword? Interesting. So, about these watchwords, Mr. Windibank.
As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities secret.
It wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets, none at all.
Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword when I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword.
And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article.
That's right, sir, yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on 15th February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir.
But ow!
I can't do it if you're watching. If you...
Faded is here. Faded raid.
Like, can't do it if you're leering at me. It's creepy.
More like raided Oasis, except in the other direction, where he's the one doing the raiding. We've only just begun. We are still in the pawn shop. Everyone is still alive. For the moment.
Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt.
Ugh. Okay. Now what? Talk to him. I do it. Excuse me, but who are you?
One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you're not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here.
Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of...
I've heard of that country.
I'm very familiar with your JoJo memes. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-colored soup dressed up with exotic spices.
You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gesticulation about? Finally ever.
Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another.
Of course, yes. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. You watch the VODs? Good. Have you figured out the mystery of... the window tax. God. That was great. I'm like, oh, here comes EverX to post the Wikipedia article on window tax. And then Odd Carrot posted it. There was also a beer. There was an everything tax. Did you see me trying and failing to read the entire list of taxes on the English taxes page? Oh, it was great. No, what was I gonna say? Did you figure out the mystery of where I've heard the word tatterdemalion before? Because I feel like I have. Somebody said it. Like, it might have been in like a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something. My name is Susato Mikotoba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant.
I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Eggert Benedict. Enchanter.
He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is sus. He's a sussy boy.
Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat, return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off.
Grr. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him. Wait, the Calicos? Did I get something wrong about Calicos? I didn't think so. I think I was right. Right? Aren't they always male? Or are they always female? Is that what I got wrong? Only females are common, though. I thought it was... There's definitely something I'm thinking of where it's like all of them are male. Like you can't have a female one.
So let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir.
Oh, she gave it back.
With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back from the grave after I am the murder victim.
Huh. This is why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes... excuse me. Everyone thinks that makes me a liar. Males are rare and still... Alright, I'm thinking of something else then.
And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker.
Oh, but of course, sir. Here's the disc for you.
Just this one?
Pardon, sir?
I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another.
Another disc? Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now.
So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you?
Says who, eh? I don't know nothing about it.
Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell, say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute. That disc is mine. Ah!
What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Oh my! Yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. found it first, alright? I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Oh, you take it.
Hey.
If I hang on to it, you'll have me off again, so you'll keep hold of it.
Miss Lestrade, why is this disc so important to her?
You there in the black livery. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups is all liars.
Oh, what did I ask? He is one of the characters, I think it was him, last stream, said the word tatterdemalion. I was like, is that even a word? And I was like, no, wait, I've heard that somewhere before. But I don't remember where. But definitely only from one thing. What do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? Wow, Miss Lestrade is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. No, it's all one word. I don't remember how to spell it. Something like that. And it's, I don't know, some sort of insult, something that you would call somebody that you didn't think very much of. Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. Alright, well, you've got the gun, so shoot him. Shoot him, do it! Mr. Windibank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. No, let him. Here, I'll... Look at Mr. Van Dillon. Oh, okay. Don't really feel like this is the right time to be browsing. Okay. I thought maybe I could put the disc into the music box. Okay. Fairly sure we can find just anything among the articles here in this shop. What? And it wasn't the thing that I clicked on? Is it this? Whatever this is? No. Do I talk to you? Mr. Sholmes, what are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. He's dead! No, he's not. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Story, the acceptable confusion? Why would you put an E in there? Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall has done to me. So, feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then, why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation, like a normal? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again? My dear madame, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized? I'm not a commodity. How much could I pawn it for? Seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration, but who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? I can just leave?
Oh, I guess that's if I wanted to continue browsing, like, talking to other people. Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where in the blue places have you been, eh? Pardon? Well, a lady's in trouble, true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later. Harsh.
And who, pray tell, are you?
Mr. Eggert Benedict, you have, in my eyes, a veritable encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. Two.
I beg your pardon?
The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation. One you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled eggs Benedict. It would seem that once again Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction.
Just who do you think you are, sir?
Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes logic and reasoning spectacular. Well, see, the story there are lots of, I mean, you grow up knowing that there's a whole bunch of things that are different between British English and American English, like herb versus herb, or the spelling of things with U's in them, like honor and color, and lots of things, you know? The boot of a car instead of the trunk. I mean, there's a huge list of them. It's just interesting when I stumble upon a new one that I didn't know about, like the stories thing. I knew that they didn't count the ground floor as one of the floors of the building. Like, you go up the stairs from the ground floor to get to the first floor, which isn't how it works in America. But I had somehow never seen story spelled with an E when you mean the story of a building. I have to tell you to pronounce her, here, heard, herb, Herbert. But they would say Herb Herbert over there, of course. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement. See, you gotta say that different too. They don't say advertisement, they say advertisement. From this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutch to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction.
What utter rot! I've had this cane for years.
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, missing ferrule. Oh no, he's gonna get an audio magnetic feedback loop because he doesn't have any ferrule on his staff. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule. Oh, it's actually called ferrule because it's made of iron. I see. The accent for the Bobby. I've been really pushing myself to my limits, trying to come up with voices. It has actually helped a lot that I've been watching. Preach LFW is a Twitch streamer who's currently playing through Final Fantasy XIV and also Final Fantasy VII, and he is from England. Specifically, says it all the time. Where is he from? I don't remember. But he when he voices characters, he gives them a variety of different English accents, which is very cool to hear. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. Oh, did he just rip his pants? You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle, mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod is the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Tunnel underneath the pawnbroker. Are we? Okay. I had mentioned before that, the only Sherlock Holmes story that I think I've read, and it was only an abridged version of it, and it was like 30 actual years ago, was the League of Red-Headed Gentlemen, which the twist was that somebody was like tunneling. No, am I mixing two things up? No, I guess that's right. That in the end, it turns out that they were trying to get the guy out of his house so that they could, like, dig into his basement or something. I forget. Oh, were there I don't even remember German. Did German words come up? Sure they did. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning.
This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose? Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say?
Alright, bake that cake. Do it. Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped.
What?
Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works... Sewerage? Beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank. Oh, under the bank? Yeah, okay, this... I think maybe they are taking this from the... Does the guy even have red hair? Maybe. Probably. Beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the Great Vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you... In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. The Nancy... somebody... another streamer that I know, Frumpopotamus, I think she was playing a Nancy Drew game earlier today, and I think she does play them. I don't think they're like this. They, from when I've seen her playing them before, I think they... what are they like? They're a little bit more like room escape games, where like there'll be some kind of objects that you have to puzzle together to figure something out. So I don't think they're too much like this. These are usually like, here are some things, figure out how to contradict this particular statement, you know, like logic puzzles, spot the contradiction. Or like, yeah, okay, like point and click adventures, like an adventure game, like a LucasArts Day of the Tentacle. No, wait, what did he say? Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently, in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Which we've heard about before. In one of the, at least one of the other cases, there was it was inside the omnibus. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime which you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. I don't know that I'd... I mean, I am on the lookout for games to play. I guess I would consider it. And maybe I'll even ask Frump. Is there one in particular that she likes? Thus concludes Sherlock... I did it again. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. This is, of course, all wrong deductions. Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness. Would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed. Though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact.
Ah.
And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it?
There can be but one explanation for that, clearly. It is because the man is a criminal.
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret.
Oh.
Or if he doesn't, then maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all.
Oh, my life! I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be too sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it is out.
Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes.
An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo, an excellent idea.
Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes. Let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape.
Very well, then. Let us start once more, from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocketeer, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street, but that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer.
So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers, to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No. I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not the sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you could adopt a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. It might rather suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with the sword around my waist. It's your tie. It's your stylish hat. That silk top hat is whiter than white. Only an English gentleman could hope to carry off something so bright. But it looks so incongruous with the black overcoat, don't you think? Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. How about it, Mr. Naruhodo? I think you'd look very fetching in a white top hat. Well, you know, I think it might look rather incongruous with my black university uniform, so... Is there something written on the... Oh, there is something written on the other side of the paper. Oh. Look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. He must have written all this down because he has prosopagnosia. Got him. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness! There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline 15th April, which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Info about Miss Lestrade.
Take that!
Yes, what brought you to the shop in this first place is the info about Miss Lestrade.
Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery here.
Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you.
But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie.
It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windibank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat.
So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason of your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutch to your person, invites an incontrovertible contradiction.
What utter rot! I've had this cane for years.
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, missing ferrule.
What's a ferrule? Well, it's kind of like bismuth, but even better. It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane. I knew that. The bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly, and Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. The hat again. Again, the hat. The gloves. No, it's the initials on the cane. For sure. Not his name. Look here, Mr. Saddle, there are some letters on the handle. Ah, yes, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letter of their names. So, Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously... Oh. AG. Why does that feel as though it's not quite right? I don't know, let's present it and find out.
Take that!
Take it! The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing.
A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet, in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree?
No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you'd had that cane for years. Grr. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park.
In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong?
Well,
And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see.
Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart. Look. So it is. Do you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. What? But now I think it was probably the sound of this seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought. Take that. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle. Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Arg! This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank. Arg! But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. To abscond with a redeemed item. So is there no great crime? Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime which you have in the planning.
This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how could I possibly have known the relevant details, n'est-ce pas?
Oh, but the watchword can be discovered, as you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped.
What?
Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talking of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article, whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? What was in this council notice again? Baker Street Works is the title. Yes, and it does mention sewerage works, as Mr. Holmes said. Oh! And specifically mentioned that tonight's sale at the confectionery shop on the corner won't be affected. Case solving first, confectionery later, Mr. Naruhodo. Ugh. Curse my overly expressive face. Curse my overly expressive face, too. It's very expressive. Can I look at the shovels? I cannot. Can I look at the Hound of the Baskervilles? No. No, it's obviously the book. But can I look at the gun? This is Mr. Windibank's gun. This is Mr. Windibank's neutral special. Yes, loaded with only one bullet, he said. It would appear that being a pawnbroker is a very life-or-death profession. That might just be this particular establishment. A notelet? Is that a thing? Look at this, Miss Susato. It appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windibank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And in alarmingly clear script as well. Yeah, take one look at that picture right there. That's alarmingly clear. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Then what's the book then? I thought it would be the book. The book's a great big nothing.
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a note list he has to hand. Then, he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches with the article in question.
I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker.
But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages.
What are you talking about?
It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside, then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the note beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade.
Master plan?
Which brings us, at last, to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker?
Are you quite serious?
For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. That was difficult. But naturally you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Windibank isn't even worth a penny. Yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it. Could we? Really? I better have a thorough look through all the one evidence that we've collected so far. All the one evidence. I mean, there's some blood. Check that out. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Egbert Benedict. When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pins scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ouch. Just thinking about it hurts. And puts me off eating radish. Nope, no murders. Oh, for McGilded? Love it when a plan comes together. Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc, look, and a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded? McGilded? It couldn't be! But it is, Mr. Naruhodo, a name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this?
Take that!
Yes, exactly. Egbert Benedict. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that? On the back? It reads, "For McGilded." Ugh! Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his lone mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. I'm having trouble reading today. What's going on? So, you are an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Ugh. Your true identity may remain shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Arg! all of these have been so great. Like, you think about... Alright. Ace Attorney 1, 2, and 3, and 4. No, 4? Was 4? 4 was still sprite-based, I think. Apollo Justice. And then the next two, Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, were 3D, but didn't really do that much with the models. It was like you were playing one of the old games, except that instead of sprites, they were rendered as 3D models, and they would move around a little bit. But this has been making much, much better use of the camera and the space whenever they do one of these grand deductions. And yeah, the ending where they both spin around and both, hold their finger up.